Hey guys, it's Graham. Welcome back to Truckerman Reads. Before we get started, Fossil Force, boys' adventure novel. Go buy it on Amazon with my link in the description and read it and tell me what you think. Gone to the Woods was the last book that Gary Paulsen published before he died in 2021. And I realized earlier today that I never did a video on it because back when I read it, I was still doing my podcast and I wasn't really producing stuff over here so much. But that was a really great book. It's a novelized autobiography of his childhood. He refers to himself as the boy, but it's all about his own life, the things that he saw, things that he did, and everything that led up to him becoming a writer. Reason that's relevant, I was in the comments on another video today. I was listening to a guy talking about a writer who is technically talented but didn't really have life experience because this individual was just basically a trust fund baby and had a degree in English and stuff, which can give you a lot of the tools that you need to create something, but only in the same sense that an AI has the tools to arrange words to convey information. But like I was just saying recently in another video, soul is a key and inseparable element of art. I was talking about how I use Speechify for poor man's audiobooks to do AI narrations of ebooks that I otherwise wouldn't have time to get around to reading. And it's good in a technical sense, but there really is something lost between the robot versus when you're listening to a human narrator. And it's the same thing with even a human writing who's only doing the technical things and not really putting their soul into their craft. Now, in this video, the point of discussion was the fact that writers need to have something that they can really truly say with passion. And that passion is usually something that you earn through challenge and through hardship. I'm speaking anecdotally for myself. That's definitely true. I mean, I knew from a very young age that I wanted to be a writer, but that's because I had imagination and I wanted to write down the things that I was imagining, but I wasn't really able to put meaning behind them. Even when I was excited about them, it was just, wouldn't this be cool if this happened? And there was no substance to pin it up. Even when I got into my 20s and I got really serious about writing, I still was missing that key ingredient that I didn't know was necessary to give something a more profound reach and value. I love telling stories, I love writing stories, I love reading stories, but I didn't have all of the pieces that I needed to make that work. Gary Paulsen's childhood was characterized by hardship. He was very young when World War II was underway. He crossed the Pacific on, I can't remember the exact nature of the boat, if it was military or if it was a freighter or something. His father was stationed in the Philippines, so when he was like 7, he sailed with his mother to go meet with his dad there. And, in addition to there being, sailors and what on the boat that were constantly trying to hook up with his mom, it was a military boat. It wasn't comfortable or convenient. It was a boat that floated. It could have people on it. It could get you there. One of his experiences there was that he saw a plane crash over the ocean. And since there were always sharks following the vessel, because there would be cast off from the vessel, the cast off would draw fish, the fish would draw the sharks. People that swam from the plane crash to the ship that he was on got attacked by sharks. 7-year-old Gary Paulsen saw people getting eaten and killed by sharks. And that was before he even got to the Philippines and, dealt with his parents fighting a lot of the time. And then the war ended and he goes back stateside and his parents were alcoholics. And there was barely ever any food in the house and he had to skip out on school to go hunting. Otherwise there wouldn't be food. And then as soon as he could get a job stacking bowling pins in an alley, he'd have to save that money and hide it from his parents so that he could buy food for himself. Like, his childhood was defined by hardship, and he found relief from that hardship by being out in the wilderness. He was publishing for 25 years before he published Hatchet. He wrote a lot of just short kid books. I tried reading some of the pre-Hatchet work that he wrote, and like it's adequate. That's the kindest thing that I can say about it. These are all things that are technically sound. Here's a story about a kid in school, and he learns what it feels like to have a crush on a girl for the first time, and he navigates. Like, it's okay, fine. Like, sure. You could tell that he wasn't so passionate about that, but once he started writing stories about kids going out into the woods and surviving hard things and dealing with animals, and especially when he writes about dogs, like, he's extremely passionate about that. He's got something real to say there. Gone to the Woods is the story of how he got all of that experience that then later made his writing have value. I didn't really start to find that value and passion's the wrong word. I was always passionate about writing, but I didn't understand what I was trying to say or what I was trying to do with my writing until I started to have more meaningful life experiences, which really didn't start until I became a parent, for one, and when I started trucking, for two. And I'd always been involved in blue collar labor my whole life, but doing it with a CDL got me into different industries that gave me different life experience besides just working in a warehouse and driving a C4500 or whatever. It gave me real life experience that broke me down in a way that nothing else I'd ever imagined could do. Writers need that because it's like any other real emotion that you can't fake it. You need that fuel to make it real. Counterexample to Gary Paulsen would be Michael Crichton, but he's not. I don't know much about his young life. I know that he wrote pulp novels to pay his way through medical school. He might have come from wealth, but that man was such a unique talent in terms of like the caliber of his intelligence and his curiosity that obviously outweighed any kind of deficiency of difficulty that his life might have had. He was a very, very unique example. I think a blend between the two would be Louis L'Amour, a man who had incredible academic instincts, but didn't satisfy them or couldn't satisfy them through the rigid structure of the school system. He dropped out of school as a teenager because, as he told his mother, it's interfering with my education. And his education then just became a matter of, I wander from place to place. I do whatever job I can find. I don't care how hard it is. Whatever spending money I have left over, I spend on books. And whatever time that I'm not working or sleeping, I'm writing. He was an absolute powerhouse of work ethic, but would also spend his time reading to fuel his brain, to have things to draw on. The summary then that I would have for all of this is writers have to write from some position of authenticity, and you'll often not have that if your life hasn't been difficult in some meaningful way. I don't care about exceptions because this is a general rule, and general rules are general rules for a reason. But Gone to the Woods is then the chronicle of Gary Paulsen's childhood and all of the difficult things that shaped his worldview and his habits and his mind. And it ends right with the point where he decides to take a crack at writing. Not with writing Hatchet, but just writing generally. And the rest is history. Incredible book. I own it in hardcover. I listened to the audiobook back in the day, and when it was done, I was like, okay, I'm buying that in hardcover. I'm going to read that again, and I'm probably due to read it again now. So check that out. Let me know what you think. Drive safe. See you out there.